Steve, you and I are jumping in the world of Steam Next Fest once again. Dude, I love when they come up with these demos because they introduce you to a ton of stuff. And there's things we want to kind of get people's eye on sometimes, right? That we're enjoying. And one of these things are a little game called Always in Mind. And it's very, very unique. It's got a heavy story. You play as a 12-year-old boy lost in a coma. And then you're out to experience what have we seen so far, because we actually started chapter 4, which is I'm curious as to how far deep this is into the game then, if this is where we start at. But chapter 4 is an interesting venture as we look to discover who our grandfather is and to see relive his memories is essentially it. And it's a simplistic art style, which I can appreciate. And then you just venture out and do some platforming and some puzzles and uncover the mysteries behind your grandfather as you've been lost in this coma for so long that you really don't have too much contact with your family. But through some AI tech and your mom, you're able to really live memories to help you kind of get in tune with what you've been missing out on. It's an interesting concept, Steve. What'd you think playing this one?
Do you know what? I had a lot of fun, and I have to say, like you said, I love is it like a dreamscape kind of art style, kind of pastel? Not too much detail, but enough to see what the items were. And I did love the art style of this. The mechanics of it, because that is one of the slight issues I had. There's not too much to it, apart from your usual moving, and you have your jump and double jump, and you can also glide in this. But you also have like an orb, which you can actually fire at things to break through barriers, basically. And this game mechanic I had a bit of issue with, because it's kind of holding the right trigger to get the curve of where you want to launch this ball. It didn't always kind of work for me, or it kind of still shot off different areas of the game. Or you can kick it like a football. And again, that kind of mechanic, it was like left, right trigger and X at the same time to do this kick. It didn't always go off the way I wanted to. But overall, the story is the main focus of this game, and the voice acting is amazing.
Yeah, I think I'm right there with you. Man, I hit the triggers, and sometimes they weren't activating what the triggers are supposed to do. So I'm smashing my triggers, wondering what's going on, right? The biggest problem I had was actually the camera itself. You get into some tight quarters, man, the camera would just loop all over. Like to the point where I'm motion sickness then. It kind of hit me, right? It lost me, and it was like, man, it's too bad. If they can clean up the controls a little bit and that camera, I'd be much better to proceed the rest of the game to see what else happens, because the story, dude, the minute chapter 4 started, I was like, yo, what is happening? I need to know what's going on. Who is his grandfather? What happened? And why is this kid in a coma? What happened there? And why can I hear my mother's voice? And dude, there's 1,000 questions going on, right? But it comes down to the game mechanic. Really, like after the story, man, the game mechanic has to feel solid. So I'm hoping that they're able to kind of clean that up a bit, right? We're in a demo. The game's not finished. So there is still time to get that cleaned up. They need to tighten up the controls a little bit, and that camera angle, man. I got into one room where there's a library, and these books are floating all around, right? And then you pull out the orb, dude, and it just spun me. I was flipping all over the place. I was like, I just couldn't do it. I was like, this is so hard, and it just put me in a tailspin. I was like, man, it's so disappointing to get to that point, because like you say, right, the voice acting is right there. It's on par. It's right where you want to hear it. And then the story just instantly sucked me in. I was like, crap, I need to know what is next.
That's right. And it's only probably about an hour to an hour and a half long, this demo anyhow. And I had the same issues like you with the camera angle, because you can actually change, they actually let you change the camera angle to suit your gameplay.
Steve, dude, it's a story. Like, this is a story-driven game, and it nailed me with that story. It's already pulling. I'm like, man, are you gonna make me cry? Like, are we heading down this path? Please don't do that to me. But I can see that, right? I can see that vision, and I think it's gonna pull on some heartstrings. I've got a grandmother that had dementia, and then that plays into the grandfather part here, right? So it's just like, oh man, you're gonna nail me, aren't you? The mechanics, like I said, need to be touched up. So hopefully they can pull that off. But yes, always in mind, dude, needs to be on the recommendation level. Check it out, keep an eye on it, and hopefully, dude, it pulls it off in the end. What about you? What are you doing?
Oh, this is definitely going to be a recommend for me. I love the narrative style games, and like we said, the voice acting, it pulled me straight in. I wanted more of the story like you. I love the graphical art style of where this is going. I love platform games as well. Like I said, if they could just sort of tighten up the game mechanics and the camera angles, then this is going to be a solid game, and looking forward to do a full review on it.
Nice.